Have you ever ordered pancakes expecting what you usually get? Thin, small, plate-sized. And when they arrive, they are the size of a large dinner plate and almost an inch thick. Well, everyone has unique expectations. And sometimes when we share our product, service, or idea, we get feedback we didn't expect. We will talk about that and more on this edition of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom. Good morning.
Good morning, Bob. How are you today?
I'm good. Another great read by you of that introduction. I was like, wow.
Read? That was all in my head. I just did it from memory. Created it on the spot.
Yes.
Yeah, that's maybe not the case. Fair enough. Well, today we are going to continue our conversation about making pancakes. And today we'll talk about unexpected results. We're not really talking about pancakes, although we use that as an analogy. We're talking about the product, service, or idea that you have that you're going to share with your customers, clients, or team or organization. And today we'll talk about the unexpected results sometimes you get. And we're really doing this as part of a case study. Bob and I, as we'll get into in the show, created an app. And there was a whole process that went into doing that and then putting it out there. And yesterday we talked about the first pancake. So we'll talk more about that in just a minute. I don't want to dive right into the show right away. As we go through it, though, if you have thoughts or ideas you'd like to share and you are watching this on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or
LinkedIn Live.
I was going to say, sure. That was very reserved.
I'm in a different location. I'm not sure if I can be that loud.
Hidden, secret location?
I'm in the bunker. That's right.
Are you hiding from the mob, Bob?
I'm in the today's Antidote bunker.
Fair enough. I think there's a radio show personality who starts out that way. He's like, in some unknown location, hidden in the bunker. Yeah. So that could be your new thing.
That's it.
Until you're in your car or somewhere else. So anyway, if you have thoughts or ideas, please feel free to share it in the comments. We know that it adds value to our show, and it also adds value to others who may not have considered your perspective. So please feel free to do that. And at the end of the show, Bob and I are each going to share our antidote, our one thing that will help you when you get unexpected results. And maybe it'll be today. Maybe it'll be some other way down the road. Or maybe it's just something you share with someone else who's really looking for a solution and they can't come up with an answer. So you can also share your one thing as well. We welcome those and know that it will add value to someone else. If you happen to be listening to the podcast, though, and you can't comment, because there's no place to comment, unless, as Bob says, you could yell at yourself or yell at your treadmill or your radio or something else. We do have things that you can do. Bob, do you want to tell them what they could do if they are listening to the podcast to help our show out?
I'm going to try to do it better today. I've been working on this in my spare time.
Differently.
Different. They could rate us 5 stars. 5 stars would tell others that this is a valuable presentation that you should take the time to watch or listen to it. You could also share it with other people. And this goes for anyone, really. Share it with someone else you think might benefit from this situation. Maybe you know someone who's starting a new product or service, and they just need to understand this process a little more clearly. Share it with them. It's a great way to network with people and say, hey, I was thinking about you. Here's a podcast or here's a video I've been watching. I think this would be of real interest to you. This is one of the ways I stay connected with people is I send them videos, I send them articles, I send them podcast links, and they're always like, oh my God, I can't believe you were thinking of me. Oh, that's so amazing. I was just thinking about how I was going to deal with this problem. Oh, I don't need this, but I have a friend who could use this. And that's a great way to stay connected with people. So if you're looking to build your network and show them value, that's one of the ways.
Excellent. Thank you for letting people know what they can do if they're listening to the podcast. So everyone, if you're listening to the podcast though, and you do have thoughts or ideas and you want to not just share them that way, but share them within a community that's talking about this topic, you can join our Ring of Renegades Facebook group. It's easy to do. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades, tell us why you're a renegade, and then you can be a part of our growing community where we are helping people take their next step along their own unique pathway to success. So now, before we dive into our topic, although I was thinking the other day, last night, about, geez, maybe I should do a video of actually making pancakes and what that would look like.
Because we all don't know how it works.
I just think it's part of the process of understanding and thinking differently about the products and services we do. And I chose not to.
Okay.
The first way, though, we start off the show is our celebrations. Bob, what are you celebrating today?
I'm going to celebrate connections. I was talking to someone last night, and it turned out that this person and I went to the same high school. Ability rose when it's like, oh, you know him. You're endorsing him and vice versa. And I think that's something that we don't account for as much as we could. And it can be really valuable in starting to build that know, like, and trust that leads to opportunity. That's why referrals are so great. That's why testimonials are so great. But I saw it twice yesterday in very different situations. And it just struck me. It's like, wow, this ability to connect and find common ground, even if it's, you're tall like me, or, oh, you drive a Honda Pilot. Oh, I do too. How old is yours? Have you had to replace this thing? Those types of things really get us from you're a complete, I don't know you, to you're someone that I've already found common ground for. And if we find common ground about what type of car we have, it often makes it easier to find other common ground.
I like that. And that's interesting. That's what I was going to celebrate. A little differently.
Oh,
well, today.
Sorry to steal your thunder.
You're not stealing my thunder. We just happened to have our celebrations line up. So yesterday was a few days ago. I was in a event, a workshop online, and I happened to be put into a breakout room with someone, and we just had interesting conversation. And so, we ought to connect and engage. So we're having that connection call at 10 or 11 today. And I was thinking about that. And then yesterday I was like, I have a lot of connections on LinkedIn, and someone from a past life that I was connected to liked a post that I made, the newsletter that I put up on Tuesday. And I was like, you know what? I should reach out to this person. I mean, we haven't connected in a while, and why not, rather than trying to always build new connections, go back and reconnect with people? Because we're all probably in different places. And so that was part of my process yesterday, was finding people who either liked or commented on a post that I made on LinkedIn, or someone in my network that I didn't really remember that well and was trying to figure out why we were connected. I said, well, why don't I just reach out and let's reconnect? So I love the idea of connections. And I think that it's something that is easily forgotten. We always are looking for who's the new prospect or the new person that we can talk to, or rather than like, who do we already know that might have a solution, or that we knew at one time and have forgotten or don't really know what they are up to, that may be able to help us out. So that's great. So cool. What as Renegades are we celebrating today?
Well,
it's not National Day anymore.
The National Day calendar says today that is the National Women's Physicians Day. Now, this is really near and dear to my heart because there's a female physician that was one of my high school students many years ago. I got really sick, and she swore to me she was going to become a doctor so she could cure what I was sick from. And she is a doctor, and she has treated my niece and nephew for the last 4 or 5 years. And I've talked to her, I've talked to other female physicians, and that's a tough road. That is a male-oriented world. Women struggle in that field because it's just they're not always treated with the most respect. They're not appreciated for what they can accomplish. And so I think I would extrapolate that too. There are lots of fields where women really have a hard time. I taught engineering students, and half of the engineering students that graduate from college in this country were female. The number of female engineers in 1988 was 34% of all engineers. 2 years ago, it was 18%. That is a sign. And if you talk to women in some of these fields, it's hard to get into these fields. It's a male-oriented world. So while we celebrate today the National Women's Physician Day, I think we should celebrate all the women who are in fields where it's not as easy as it looks. It is, I hate to say it, it's embarrassing to say, but I think it's still in many cases a male-oriented work world.
I would agree. And I think one of the things to celebrate is women who are making strides to change some of that. It's interesting, as I think you remember, my wife Liz and I went up to a Bills game, and we were fortunate enough that my daughter had gotten us seats on the visitor side, but close down to the sideline. And Liz was all excited because she's like, well, maybe the female official who does the sideline will be on our side. Sure enough, she ran out, and of course, Liz, the only one in the crowd, was clapping for the female sideline official. And, and I think that's one of those things. You may have seen in the news recently that the New York Yankees hired, as I think, the first female manager of a minor league team.
Yep.
And so I think there are strides being made. There's still a long way to go. So I think it's great to celebrate those people who have broken through some of those low ceilings, and are finding their way. They are true renegades.
Indeed, no doubt. And thank you to each of you for making the world a better place, for doing the hard work.
Okay, so let's dive into our topic today, making pancakes. We talked this week about the batter. We've talked about making sure the griddle is ready. Yesterday, we talked about that first pancake, and usually what that looks like. Not always. I think that is the challenge with the first pancake. We make a judgment.
Okay.
Rather than say, oh, that pancake stinks, I'm just going to throw it out. Without maybe pausing to say, or
make the chef eat it.
No. What might I need to do differently for it? That's the challenge. How many times have you had a really good idea in your head? You put one out there, and your boss was like, we're not doing that. That's not any good. Even if it was just an off the hand comment at a meeting, or, you came up with a product that you put out and people are like, why would you do that? Nobody would ever use that. And you took that one thing, that one judgment, and it completely halted you. So today we're going to talk about those unexpected results that we get and how not to just throw them in the garbage, Bob, how we leverage those to move forward. And I think that's, one of the biggest challenges is that we all have expectations, as I said in the opening, of what we are going to get. And I truly remember, and I forget the place that I went to as a restaurant where, actually the first time it happened was at my uncle's house. So my parents made what you would call regular size pancakes, and they were thin. And so we'd get a stack of them. And so I went to my uncle's house and was like, well, how many pancakes do you think you'll eat? I'm like, I can probably eat 4 or 5. Well,
not so much.
So they made the batter, and the pancakes literally came out and filled a dinner plate. And they were almost an inch thick. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to eat 4 or 5 of those. And I think, for me, it was, not everybody makes pancakes the same way. And I think for him was, well, sometimes maybe I need to share more information. The griddle was not warmed up enough with me as the customer or client to understand, what I was expecting. And so probably wasted a lot of batter because they thought they're going to have to make a whole lot more. And I had 1 or 2, maybe 1.5. And so I think those unexpected results are almost, I'm going to say this, they're different, but they may be more valuable than the results that we expect.
Well, they often point to the disconnect, right, between what we're creating and what the person expects. To use your analogy, you expected them to be a certain size. The person making them had a different expectation of what the size is. And we see this in business all the time. You're thinking you've got 6 weeks to do a project, and the company's saying, when you're talking to them about your proposal, no, we have 6 days. You're thinking they're going to pay $20,000, and they say, no, we thought it was going to be more like $10,000. That's where the opportunity lies, is figuring that out. The sooner you can figure out where those divides are, the sooner you can try to find common ground, right? I mean, it's the same thing we were talking about in the opening part, finding common ground, making those connections, saying, oh, okay, if you want this to be done in 6 days, not 6 weeks, we're going to have to charge you extra because that's going to be a whole lot of overtime. We can do it, but this is what that's going to take. Now, if you can stretch it to 3 weeks, we can relieve some of that pressure. Ideally, it's going to be 6 weeks, or we can get this done in 6 days, which will get you up and running. But the real product's going to be down further. And I think that is really key to the unexpected results. We discover things that we didn't know. I mean, part of the thing when you have an idea, when you have a product, when you have a service is you're in your own head. You have tunnel vision. And when you get out there and you start to get these unexpected results, it's like, oh, I didn't realize pancakes could be different size. I've always done them silver dollar style.
Right.
Now there's someone who says, I've got a 20-inch plate. I'm going to make a 20-inch pancake. And so, you could eat $15 size pancakes. You could eat one really big pancake. Neither's right, neither's wrong.
Sure.
And it's figuring out what that looks like. And it could very well be, hey, I usually make them 20 inches large. I usually make them 1 inch large. What if we settled on 10 inches today? Just to be in the middle.
Well, it's interesting, to take this to a real life example, to go back to our case study, is as a part of our new app, there is a 6-week program to help you find success the Renegade way. And it's really about how do you focus on the most important things in your day and your week. And again, not judge what happened during the day, but choose how to learn from it. And as a part of that program, we offered open office hours, a chance for people to pop in and say, I'm stuck here. This is what's going on or what's happening. And in one of those office hours, 2 of the people who participated or were early participants of the product, of the app, were sharing that, and our expectation was that people would want to do this on their computer or on their phone, where they would fill out a form and it would be sent to their email and then they have it. Well, these 2 people were like, geez, the one thing that might be really helpful is to have something that I can write on. Because as I'm going through and writing down my day, that's just the way I do it. Is it's easier, or that's just my style of being able to write it. And that was something neither of us had thought about. Neither of us considered that, well, it's an app, it's on your computer or it's an app. So why wouldn't you just, of course, people are just going to want to fill out a form, have it sent to their email, and that's what people do. What we have learned is that that's not always the case. And what it did, it helped us figure out that, okay, and we're putting this second pancake together with a calendar, a PDF calendar that people can download that'll allow them to do the same things they would have done online, just in the way that they right now are more comfortable in doing. And I think that, that was the beauty of putting it out there, is getting feedback and figuring out, hey, we only have our own knowledge, experience, and perspective. So let's share it. And then let's hear others provide feedback to it. And so I think that is one of the true benefits of unexpected results, is that you wouldn't have thought of it because it wasn't part of what's real for you. So hearing it from someone.
Although it actually was, when you showed me the mock-up of it, I was like, I would use this every day.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, and there are other people who would be like, why? I have a phone or a computer. Why would I ever write it down? So that's just more example that we are all different. And so expecting that whatever we have is the perfect solution for everyone is not likely to be the case.
Wow. So, Tom, I'm going to bring in some comments. Danny's with us this morning again. He's become a regular, which is great. He says, and the onus, he's going back to what we were talking about with National Women's Physician Day, and the onus is on us as men to do whatever we can to clear the path and invite women to the table. And I couldn't agree with him more. And I would challenge every guy to bring a woman to a table where the real activity is and see. You're going to get a much better result when you have different feedback and different interactions there.
Well, and I would go even a step further, because I think this is true not only for men or for men or women, is that whoever we bring on, it's our role as the leader to help them with the things that because they're all going to come to it differently, right? Mm-hmm. So there are things that they are not going to know or have the same perspective. And so it's our job as a leader to figure out what are the things that they need uniquely so that they can be successful. I think so often we bring things to the table and yet, okay, you figure it out. That was one of the reasons that we offered the open office hours is we brought this to the table for people, but weren't just like, okay, have fun, go figure it out. And when
good luck. Yeah, we did our part.
We're done. Hands off. I think the beauty of and what I really like about the open office hours option is that it allows us and others to come in, and not only for us to get feedback, but for them to get assistance when they're like, well, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. How do I now leverage it? And I think that's part of the key to all of this. And again, one of the really benefits of when you put that first pancake out there is you now start to see and get feedback on, okay, in this case, just clearing the path and inviting someone to the table is only one piece of it. If we really want them to succeed, and that's the key, if that's what it's all about. I mean, you could put a product out there and you don't care. You sold it, you made your money, you did what you said you would do. I provided a product or a service or an idea that allowed others who thought this was going to be the solution to their challenge. So they purchased it. And you could wipe your hands of it at that point. Or
Good luck with that long term. That model doesn't work.
Well, it depends. There's a lot of people in the world. So they might be like, oh, okay, yeah, I think this is it. Or, I think there's value in once someone gets it, how do you make sure that they find value in it? Because if all we do is just put our stuff out there, there's going to be a lot of frustration. And people are going to say, well, why would I, even though this might be a great job that you're bringing me to the table of, why would I want it? Because once I get in it, I might not know everything I need to know. And you're setting me up for failure.
Yeah, opportunities. Use that word. Hey, we've got a comment from Beth this morning. Good morning, Bob and Tom. Happy about the introductions to this week's topic. Keep up the great job.
Thanks, Beth.
There you go. I think you have a fan there, Tom.
I think she's really your fan, and just was like, oh yeah, it's nice that Tom did the introduction, and that resonated with me. That's all. Maybe she's been to a restaurant where she's ordered pancakes and didn't get what she expected.
She's probably made pancakes, would be my guess.
I mean, the possibility. So, all right, Bob.
I think we're at that place.
You jumped in front of me because you don't have one thing, do you?
How do you? Of course, whenever I jump into it, that means I don't have it yet.
Okay.
Actually, I do. I'll go with this. My one thing, my today's antidote would be that the more we can hear the feedback we get, the unexpected results, the more we can question where that disconnect was, where it is, that's where the opportunity lies. As you were talking, I was thinking about all the things I've done where it got morphed when we got customer feedback. It moved us in directions we didn't anticipate going. Look at the iPhone. When they started the iPhone, they thought that was going to be more of a phone. that was going to be the primary use. I use it as a phone, but I use it to text a lot. I use it to go to the internet. I use it to listen to Spotify and Pandora. I use it to map my directions.
Take pictures.
Take pictures. There you go. And look at how Apple increased the camera quality, and Samsung and all those guys. The quality of the cameras gets better and better because they're finding that's what people are really taking and using. So there's something that, if you go back and look at Apple, if you look at Samsung, they were really clear what they were trying to do, but it's morphed over time. And we've all got to do that. That's key to success. You cannot put something out there and go, okay, here it is. Our app's done. Let people buy it. It won't work. We'll have to constantly care and feed that app as long as we want to generate some revenue from it.
I like that one thing. I like that. I mean, that was sort of along the lines that I was thinking is, I would go back to, I think so often people are worried about the idea that they put out there, about the concept, the service. And I say, I think this might have been mine yesterday, put it out there and look for, and actually hope that you get unexpected results that will allow you to better understand who you are serving and how not only are you serving them in the moment that they purchase, also how you're serving them as they work through it, so that you will continue to learn. If someone downloads our app and even purchases the 6-week program, but never does anything with it, that doesn't really help us. I mean, it does in one way, and it doesn't help us understand, well, what's holding you back? Because maybe there is something that we need to do differently. We need to onboard them differently. We need to, there's a whole host of things that might be valuable for us to know, maybe and likely more valuable than the cost of whatever they paid, so that one, they can get the results they desire, and two, we can have it be more beneficial for the next person who downloads it. So I would offer that the best thing about the first pancake is the unexpected results you get.
It's kind of fun.
What's that?
The results you get when you put something out there, if you're willing to let yourself go from the idea that it has to be perfect, it's really fun how people react to things. They give you the most unexpected feedback. Yes. And if you can bring that in and not judge it, it can be really helpful to figuring out what you might want to do. It can drive a whole bunch of success. I'm sorry, I see we have some more comments. I think this is Danny again, who said, excellent points, Tom. One thing to recruit and invite, another to retain and support. Make sure you've cleaned your house before you invite others in. Yes, I love that. That's great. And then Beth says, I love you both, which is good because she's my sister and that helps. I don't like to make pancakes in a pan. I always burn the first pancake and get frustrated. I started using a griddle and the pancakes turn out fine. There you go. Adapting to the situation, finding a solution that works, just like with any product or service or idea.
And don't get mad. It actually celebrate the unexpected result you got, because that will help you. And it probably has, even though you haven't expected it or you haven't really thought about it that way, Beth, is that likely burning it says to you, okay, well, now I know what I need to do differently so that the next and the rest of the pancakes turn out the way that you kind of would want them to. Still might not be the way the people you serve them to want them. They might be expecting, well, why aren't there chocolate chips in it? Or why isn't there fruit in a pancake? All those things that
I knew you'd get there.
Some people don't want. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for being with us in the show. And obviously, thanks for your comments. And if you would like to download this app that we are so subtly discussing, it's easy to do. Just go to the App Store on Apple or go to Google Play and you can download it. It's called Renegade Success Network. You can download. It's free to download. You can learn a little bit more about what we see as a renegade, just in case you're not quite certain what that is. There are also other things that you can do in there that will help you figure out how to take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. So We look forward to seeing downloads of our app. Shameless plug. Sorry. Not sorry. Or we'll see you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. And if neither of those happen today, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of Today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Oh, I like that. That was really good. Save that one. Put that one in the vault and use that again. That like sparked my interest when you're like, if neither of those happen, I was like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to me? So, hey, folks, go out there and embrace the renegading you. You're worth it. I promise.
And find someone you can, a woman who's looking for an opportunity in a unique field, find their way. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.